What if I told you the IRS helped me gain over $330,000 just by going solar? And the IRS helped me pay for some of my solar panels. Sounds too good to be true, right? Now, you're probably wondering why I'm laid out like this. See, last summer was brutal. One of those 102-degree days, no breeze. I stared at that thermostat like it was a loaded weapon. No harm in turning it on, right? Wrong. Last August, I paid almost $1,000 for electricity. No Teslas, no mining rigs. I was just not trying to cook in my own home. And that day is when I decided I'm going solar. What's up, everyone? Chrissy Doherty here. I'm an IRS enrolled agent, and I've been running my own tax practice for over 10 years. That story you just saw, yes, it's real, and it happened almost exactly a year ago. In today's video, I'm breaking down how the IRS helped me cover some of the cost of solar, how much I'm saving now, and what you need to know before you make that switch. I've had my system for almost a year. I was planning on making this video on the 1-year mark, but with the IRS credit set to expire after 2025, I'm dropping it now so that way you have time to make an informed decision. Here's a skinny. The IRS essentially paid me $18,000 to go solar. I brought my electricity bill almost down to zero, and over that time, this one decision will save me more than $330,000 over the next 25 years. So let's talk about how that IRS credit works. So it's called the Residential Clean Energy Credit, and it gives you back 30% of the total cost of your system, not a deduction, but a dollar-for-dollar credit off your tax bill. My total system costs $60,000, which includes panels, batteries, inverters, wires, permits, and labor. And then I get a 30% tax credit totaling $18,000. So my net cost for the entire system is $42,000. In addition, I just ordered some coffee because it's really hot. Definitely needed that. All right, here's how it works. The 30% credit can only reduce the income taxes that you owe. It's not a direct check. But if your credit is larger than your tax bill, the unused portion carries forward. In my case, I owed more than $18,000 in federal taxes, so I got the full credit in one shot. If I had only owed 10 grand, the remaining 8,000 would have rolled over into the next tax year and the next tax year after that until I use it. And just because you get a refund doesn't mean you can't use this credit. A refund means you overpaid in taxes, but you still pay taxes. This credit reduces your total tax liability, which increases your refund or just reduces what you owe at the end of the year. But here's the catch. This credit is going to expire at the end of 2025. So if you're thinking about going solar, you cannot wait. You got to do it now. And yes, filing this credit is simple. Just fill out the form 5695, enter your system costs, and your tax software or your tax preparer will calculate the credit for you. Let's talk about the solar buying experience because I know a lot of people have had bad experiences. I went with Solar Optimum. I had a sales rep named Kevin. He was amazing. This company has done wonders. Everything they promised, they delivered. But I gotta warn you, there is a common scam. Some companies, they will inflate your system price, adding dealer fees or finance markups, and they will tell you that the inflated number qualifies for the tax credit. The company that I went with, they told me that it was not, and that gave me confidence to roll with them. Finance fees are not credit eligible. Do not fall for it. The IRS will not give you credit for loan fees, dealer markups, or even interest. If your $60,000 quote suddenly becomes $75,000 and they say it's credit eligible, that's a scam. Run away. I ended up using a marketplace called Energy Sage. They let me compare quotes from vetted installers, no pressure, and in the end, I installed over 40 solar panels, 4 batteries, and I aimed for 24/7 power and a $0 bill. So this is where I really fucked up. I undersized my battery system. Let me break this down. Solar panels only work when the sun is out. That's it. If you have no sun, your solar panels don't do anything. So what happens to the energy that they produce? During the day, your panels either power your home, if you're home, or they send the excess energy they have back to the grid. But if you're like most people, you're working a 9-to-5 job, you're not at home to use it. So your fridge, lights, and AC, not using any power. Then you get home at 6 p.m., the sun is going down, and your panels stop producing. So if you don't have any batteries, too bad, too sad, you are now gonna be pulling energy from the utility company. Batteries are what store the excess energy that your solar panels generate during the day. Then at night when you get home, your lights, TV, AC, all those devices are now running on the battery instead of the grid. In my case, I didn't get enough batteries. I ignored my rep's advice, thought I knew better, I didn't. I went with 2 fewer batteries than I needed. So between 2 a.m., 6 a.m., My batteries are drained and I'm still using the utility company. That means I still get an energy bill every single month. What I didn't know back then is that the batteries don't drain down to zero. There is a reserve buffer to protect your lifespan. So even if you size your system to match your usage, you're still gonna fall short. If I can go back, I would definitely size up, get 2 extra batteries, especially now while the batteries still qualify for that 30% federal tax credit. If you guys are loving this kind of content, be it the cinematic introduction, my detailed calculations, or just the way this video is formatted, please like and subscribe to indicate to me that you guys love this style of videos. Let's get back to the next section. Now the part that you all have been waiting for, how is solar gonna save me over $330,000 in the next 25 years? Well, we have the vibe board. You know it's serious when I got the vibe board out. Now, my pre-solar electric bill averaged $800 a month or $9,600 annually before I got solar, which is represented by this dot right here. Then after I got solar, we are averaging around $140 a month or $1,680 a year in electricity. And that's represented by this dot right here. And you're probably wondering, well, if you got solar, you shouldn't be paying for electricity. But remember, I undersized my batteries, so we're still having to pay electricity. And during the months of like November, December, and January, there's less sun, so we have to spend more on electricity during those time periods. But you can still see there's still savings, because before it was $9,600 a year in energy. Now we're spending $1,680 in energy. That is savings of $7,920 per year, or call it $8,000. And you can see that this is represented by the next graph. This entire green region right here is the expected savings that I will get by having solar. So even though there is still an electricity bill down here, we are saving a lot more because it would have been this red line up here. With savings of almost $8,000 per year, I should recoup my initial $42,000 solar investment within 5 years. Remember, we spent $60,000, got a 30% tax credit of $18,000, so my total investment so far now is $42,000. This is represented by the yellow line going up here. So every single year, I'm saving $8,000 per year being stacked on top of each other. The yellow line is the cumulative savings during the time I have solar. This red dotted line on the bottom is the initial $42,000 investment in solar. So at year 5, that's where they intersect. That is when we break even on the investment. Then thereafter, this entire region up here, that is all now profit by having solar. And if I stay in this home for 25 years, that should quantify to $330,000 in savings. Now you're saying, okay, look, Christian, I did the math. 8,000 times 25 is only $198,000. And you'd be right, but you did not factor in inflation. All these graphs already have factored in inflation with them. So if we did not factor inflation, the savings would have been $198,000. But factoring a conservative 4% inflation, we are saving $330,000 by getting solar. But wait, there's more. In California, utility rates over the last 25 years have averaged 6% inflation. I use 4% because I want to be conservative, but there's a high possibility, just by the way trends are going, if California continues at a 6% increase of energy per year, then we're looking at maybe close to $500,000 in savings based off of historical trends. I think we're probably gonna be around in between this region, between $300,000 and $500,000 savings. Regardless, that number is astronomical. That is almost a mortgage. You're probably saying to yourself, look, I don't have money to pay for solar outright. If you finance the system, does this still make sense? Absolutely, I've actually calculated that for you. And in this situation, we're going to assume that you pocketed the tax credit and we're just gonna finance the initial solar, because that's generally how these solar companies do it. So let's say you financed the system at $60,000 over 25 years at 7%. That is roughly around $5,200 a year. Add in the PG&E bill, like in my situation of $1,600, totaling that's $6,700 a year out of pocket. Compare that to $9,600 a year without solar. Even with financing, you're still saving over $200,000 long term, and your payments are locked in, no rate hikes, still a win. And in this situation also, I wanna show you guys the break-even points. You can see here that when you purchase it outright, the break-even point is right here at year 5. And then the break-even point if you finance it, in this situation, particular situation, the break-even point is in year 10. And that leads me to the next concern. Generally, people say the average homeowner only stays in the house for only 8 years, so is solar still worth it given that fact? If you buy it outright, then yes, because clearly the break-even point at year 5, you would still be profiting after year 5. And in my case, I would be saving around $73,000 total if I move out after 8 years. That still covers the $42,000 of solar panels, and then we would have $21,000 overall profit, and we would likely sell the home for more. But if you finance it, as you can see here, the break-even point is in year 10. That's problematic because that means if you move before year 10, you're likely gonna be losing on the solar purchase. So that's probably not the option for you. So if you think you're gonna move out before 10 years and you're financing it, you probably should not get solar. But again, you have to run your own calculations to see whether or not it's right for you. And then final note, if you sell the home and you take the credit, you will need to add that tax credit back as part of the sale. But this can be avoided with some other tax strategies. So talk to me or talk to other tax professionals on how to account for that part. So before you guys rush and get solar because you found out that this is such a great deal, you need to ask yourself a few questions. Do you get good sun year round? Do you live in a high rate state like California? Do you work from home and use energy all day? If you live somewhere cloudy, you have cheap energy, and you're never home, then solar is probably not worth it. But for me, I live in sunny California. PG&E freaking robs us, and I work from home. And I got the AC running all day, and now I don't stress about the bill. Just like owning your home, I locked in my power costs while everyone gets hit with higher rates year after year. The IRS helped me slash my power bill almost to zero, and over the next 25 years, the sun's gonna be paying me. And if you're thinking about going solar, don't wait. The calculators even prove that even if you didn't get the credit, it would still be beneficial anyways. You guys have any questions about this process or how it works, or if you want to claim the credit, just let me know. I'll catch y'all in the next video. Peace.